The newest mainline Super Mario Bros. Game has finally been revealed, being Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and this one looks insane. Done are the days of the new Super Mario Bros. Series, as after over a decade of waiting, we finally get a brand new 2D Mario game. And this one is quite literally something new. We could take some time to address the literal elephant in the room and discuss what this game has to offer, but instead today I want to take some time to make my wishlist for this crazy new Mario adventure. So with that being said, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Christendo, and this is my prediction for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. The first thing I feel is a must-have for Super Mario Bros. Wonder is for the game to include online multiplayer. When it comes to games that include multiplayer, I feel like it should be a no-brainer for there to be an option to play the game online with friends. But this is Nintendo we're talking about, so who knows if we'll get a feature that just makes sense like this. I also want to quickly point out that on the official Super Mario Bros. Wonder website, you can see text that reads, "Any Nintendo Switch Online membership and Nintendo account required for online features." While this may not directly confirm that online play is in the game, it could be a sign that it is, as this same text is on websites for games with online multiplayer, such as Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, but isn't present on the sites for games without online functionality like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I want to thank Thomas from the Switch Stop for pointing this out in his 50 facts about Super Mario Bros. Wonder video, as without him I probably wouldn't have found out about this. Now let's talk about characters. Our current list of playable characters we know of so far include Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Gold or Yellow Toad, and Yoshi. It is also entirely possible we could see Bug and Berry or Blue Toad playable as well, as there is a Goomba in the box art that is wearing his hat. But we don't know for sure whether or not he's one of the characters we can play as. When it comes to additional playable characters I would like to see, my first choices would be Wario and Waluigi. I think it would be a lot of fun to run around the Flower Kingdom as these two, and finally get to play as them in a mainline Super Mario game. Another character I think would be cool to see is Rosalina, even though I think Super Mario Galaxy is cringe. However, I do see Rosalina's inclusion less likely, as we already have two princess-type characters in the roster already with Peach and Daisy. But who knows? Maybe Nintendo will make her a surprise inclusion like she was in Super Mario 3D World. If we do get more characters than we were already showing, I feel like the most likely inclusion would have to be Toadette. During the Switch era, Toadette has become a far more important character in the Mario series, with her keeping track of your stats in Super Mario Odyssey, being a playable character in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and being the lead builder in the story mode for Super Mario Maker 2, along with being a playable character in the game as well. Now, do I think any of these characters will come to Super Mario Bros. Wonder? I would have to say most likely not. However, there is a good chance Nintendo could be hiding some surprises for us to discover when the game launches, so new characters aren't entirely out of the question. While we're on the topic of characters, let's talk about character abilities. One of the things I liked about Super Mario 3D World was that each character was given their own unique ability, with Mario being the all-around bounce character, Luigi having the highest jump but being the most slippery, Peach being able to float but running the slowest, and Toad being the fastest but having the shortest jump. This allowed for each character to provide a unique playstyle, which leads to the game being more replayable. And this mechanic hasn't made an appearance in a 2D Super Mario game since Super Mario Bros. 2 on the NES, at least until Super Mario Run. If you for some reason have never heard of Super Mario Run, this game is Nintendo's mobile auto-running platformer featuring the Red Plumber and friends. The game features a wide range of characters, each having their own unique abilities, with our main lineup of characters in Super Mario Bros. Wonder appearing in Super Mario Run as well. Now, if we do get character-specific abilities in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I think said abilities would come from Mario Run. The four characters from Super Mario 3D World would keep their same abilities, Mario being the most balanced, Luigi jumping the highest, Peach being able to float, and the Toads being the fastest. When it comes to Yoshi, it's obvious his ability would be his flutter jump, making him act as the easy mode for the game, similar to Nabbit in New Super Luigi U. Lastly, we have Daisy, whose unique ability would be her double jump from Super Mario Run. If Nintendo ends up adding these character-specific abilities to the game, it could allow for more replayability and exploration in the levels, as there could be some challenges maybe only certain characters can complete. It's not for sure whether or not this feature is coming, however, but I would really love to see this come to the game. A staple to the Super Mario franchise are the power-ups, which is what we'll be discussing next. In the announcement trailer for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, we have so far been showing off the Fire Flower and the Elephant Fruit. It looks like the Fire Flower will control the same as it does in every other game, with maybe a new feature we will talk about later. And the Elephant Fruit will turn Mario into an elephant, and he could destroy blocks and enemies with his trunk, with maybe the sacrifice of not being able to jump as we see him walking up a slope instead of jumping in the trailer. Before getting into new ideas for power-ups, let's talk about some power-ups I think we could see return. Firstly, we have the Superstar. This one is a no-brainer to return, as similar to the Fire Flower, it has made an appearance in every 2D Mario game from the beginning, so I'd be very surprised if this classic power-up doesn't return. While on the topic of classic power-ups, I think it's time for the Cape Feather to finally return to a 2D Mario game. This one isn't entirely out of the question to return either. As in New Super Mario Bros. 2, we saw the return of the Tanuki Leaf as the main power-up shown off during promotion for the game. I think if Nintendo wanted to add a vertical-based power-up to the game, the Cape Feather would be perfect to do so, as I don't think they'd go with any of the vertical-based power-ups from the New Super Mario Bros. Series. The only thing I could see debunking this is that in the trailer, we can see the crew using flowers to travel upwards to a new world in the world map, and it's possible these flowers could show up in levels to act as a way to move vertically. But since Super Mario World is my favorite 2D Mario game, I'm just gonna leave this power-up in here. A power-up I could see returning from the new Super Mario Bros. Series is the Ice Flower, as this power-up has kind of become a staple to the franchise. Much like the Fire Flower, using the power-up would have you throw ice balls. However, instead of killing enemies, you would instead freeze them temporarily in a block of ice. I think this mechanic could lead to some cool solutions to puzzles, as maybe you can use frozen enemies to unlock a section in a level, or even use them as a platform to reach areas you wouldn't be able to otherwise. I feel like compared to the other returning power-ups we've talked about so far, I could see this one having the most potential, so I would love to see it return. There's one more power-up I could see return, and sorry to all three of you Mini Mushroom fans out there because it's certainly not this one. Instead, I think the Boomerang Flower from Super Mario 3D Land could show up in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I know this is a lot of projectile-based power-ups, but hear me out. Each of these power-ups have different abilities. The Fire Flower acts as a killing machine, and the Ice Flower can be used to reach up high areas you maybe couldn't reach otherwise. Now, what can the Boomerang Flower do that the other two cannot, I can hear you asking? Well, in the Super Mario 3D World game mode in Super Mario Maker 2, the Boomerang Flower is able to interact with things the other two cannot, such as break bricks or activate on-off blocks. This mechanic will lead to the Boomerang Flower being able to do a lot of cool things in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, such as being able to interact with the world around you in ways that the other power-ups cannot. Because of this, and the fact that it seems like the game will have a heavy focus on flowers, I think this power-up just feels right at home. Now that we have addressed returning power-ups, let's talk about new power-ups I think we could see in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. First, I think we could see power-ups similar to the elephant fruit that will be character specific. I think the idea of having Mario transform into an elephant when coming in contact with the power-up is a funny and unique idea, and I think there's a lot of potential to do the same thing for the other characters. They could just have everyone turn into an elephant and call it a day, but I think that would be pretty underwhelming and could lead to some pretty cursed things like Elephant Peach. So what animals would the other characters transform into? The easiest to determine would be Yoshi, as I don't really think we will see Yoshi turning into a different animal anytime soon. In fact, I have a feeling Yoshi just won't be able to interact with any of the different power-ups in this game, as I just don't see any of their abilities working with how Yoshi controls. Now, when coming up with ideas for the other characters, I think the most logical thing to do would connect their transformations to their special abilities. Starting with Luigi, I decided to go with a giraffe. I think this would kind of go with the nature of Luigi being able to jump the highest, as maybe when he's in this form, he could use his giraffe neck to reach areas he wouldn't be able to otherwise that are too high up and too small to fit in. I really don't know how else this would work, so I decided to go with this idea. Peach is a bit more of a hard one to come up with, as her ability is to float. I decided to just go with a flamingo, as it's a bird which are typically able to glide, and it's pink just like her dresses. Now, what could she do in this form? I'm gonna say you would be able to crouch to be able to build up the ability to glide, and once you uncrouch, you would gain vertical movement and be able to slowly glide down until you reach the ground. Are flamingos even able to fly? I don't know, and I really don't care because this is a Mario game, and Mario games are not realistic. Up next are the Toads, and these speedy boys I'd say would transform into a cheetah. In this form, they'd be able to move a lot quicker, and could charge up their speed to be able to ram through blocks you wouldn't be able to destroy otherwise. I just think a cheetah would make the most sense as it fits with the nature of Toad's speed, which is why I went with this. Lastly, we have Daisy with her double jump ability. There's two animals I could think of that would fit this ability, the frog and the rabbit, and I decided to go with the frog. When in this form, Daisy would be able to have a high jump that could maybe reach places that Daisy's regular double jump can't reach, and allow for the ability to swim much easier in water, similar to the frog suit power-up in Super Mario Bros. 3. I just think having a power-up that helps navigate through water easier would benefit the game, as water levels wouldn't be as annoying to play, which is why I chose to give Daisy the frog rather than the rabbit. Now, I think there will only be one more new power-up in the game, this being the Wonder Flower. As seen in the trailer, interacting with the flower would put the world around you into a wonder mode, where things get all wacky and it makes the level more challenging. We could also see that when in this wonder mode, there are some points where Mario transforms in some way, like becoming a spike bowl or being able to stretch up to new heights. This leads me to believe, along with being a key gimmick to the game, the Wonder Flower would sometimes act as a new power-up that would aid you in challenges you may face in wonder mode. This could also maybe explain Blue Toad being a Goomba in the box art as well. Maybe Blue Toad went into some wonder mode and this challenge has him turn into a Goomba, where the goal could maybe be to make a Goomba tower a certain size in a set amount of time to obtain a Wonder Seed. If this is the case with the Wonder Flower, I think it could lead to so much potential with levels, as you never know what kind of new shenanigans you could be put into when interacting with one. There's one last thing I want to go over when it comes to power-ups before we move on. As I mentioned earlier in this segment, I noticed there was something slightly different about how Mario uses the Fire Flower, and this is the fact that Mario throws 2 fireballs at a time rather than 1. This could just be that the person who was playing pushed the button to throw fireballs twice in a really quick time frame, but I feel the speed at which the fireballs came out was a bit too quick for it to be 2 button presses. And we can also see Mario do an animation where he throws one with each hand. I think this double fireball nonsense could be hinting at probably my most far-fetched prediction yet, the ability to upgrade power-ups. Now, before you go tell me that this is a dumb idea that will never happen and ratio me in the comments, let me convince you that this isn't entirely impossible. As we can tell with how the game is structured, it seems like this game will be taking a kind of Donkey Kong Country or Kirby approach where you still make your way to the end of a level, but you don't have to worry about a timer, which encourages you to explore the level. We can also see that there is in fact another currency in the game with purple coins. The only other time that we have seen purple coins appear in a Super Mario game is in Super Mario Odyssey, where you can use them to buy costumes specific to certain kingdoms. It's possible that they could serve this purpose again in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, however, since there are multiple characters and power-ups in this game, I feel like this function is a lot less likely. So if purple coins aren't used to buy costumes, what could their functionality be? I think this game could take a page out of Kirby and the Forgotten Land and make it possible to use purple coins to upgrade your power-ups. Maybe there could be scrolls hidden throughout some levels that you can access by going into a wonder mode and completing a challenge based on the power-up the scroll's for. Once you beat the challenge, you could go to some sort of shop on the world map where you can give a Toad the scroll to unlock an upgraded version of the power-up. And you could trade a set amount of purple coins, maybe a few wonder seeds in order to unlock the upgrade. The upgrades could be anywhere from being able to throw 2 fireballs at once instead of 1 with the fire flower, to being able to break solid blocks with your trunk and levels with the elephant fruit rather than just brick blocks. I just think this feature could make 100%ing the game so much more interesting and could lead to some wacky potential and seeing power-ups be able to do things we never thought they could. Now that we're finally done discussing power-ups, let's take some time to talk about what bosses could look like in this game. The only boss we have seen so far is Bowser Jr., whose boss fight looks like it has the gimmick of having you and Bowser Jr. taking turns shrinking and growing big, giving you only certain windows in which you can actually attack him. Honestly, when it comes to the Wonder Flower, it's really hard to predict what boss fights could look like because of how unpredictable the effects of it could be. And honestly, this makes the possibility of really great boss fights far more likely. While I probably can't predict certain boss fights for the game, I do want to quickly go over some bosses from past Mario games and discuss if I think they'll return in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. First, let's talk about the Koopalings. I really hope these guys aren't the main bosses in this game, even if their fights are really unique, because they have been the world bosses for the last few 2D Mario games. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to see them though, as I think it'd be cool if they are a secret boss in the post-game you could fight in some sort of boss rush. If this is how they return, I'd really hope Nintendo gives them unique fights, as their last few appearances have been really uninspired. Since we've talked about the Koopalings, we have to talk about the Broodals. If I'm being honest, I feel like these guys may stay in Super Mario Odyssey as much as I'd like to see them become a mainstay in the series. Although maybe Nintendo could throw a curveball at us and have these guys return as mini bosses in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Their boss fights would have to be a bit different from their Odyssey ones, but fighting them in a 2D environment with the effects of the Wonder Flower could make their fights super interesting. I want to quickly mention Boom Boom and Pom Pom. Do I think these two Mad Lads are coming back? No, I do not. When it comes to Mario bosses returning in this game, these two are the ones I want to see the least, just because of how stupidly easy their fights are. Maybe if Nintendo can convince me that they can do something special with them, I'd be fine with seeing them return, but until then, I'd be more than happy to have them not show up in the game. Finally, let's talk about the king of the Koopas himself, Bowser. I think it's most likely that he will be the final boss in the game, like he is in almost every other Mario game. While his objectives may be unclear at this time, I think with this game especially, they'll take inspiration from the Super Mario 3D World final fight. In that game, Bowser uses the power-ups against you, by using the Super Bell to become Meowser and the Double Cherry to make clones of himself. I think it would be cool if they took this idea of Bowser using the power-ups in the final boss. Maybe Bowser could use the ability of the Wonder Flower to be able to use wacky attacks, and then use the Elephant Fruit to become an elephant. This sounds a lot more cursed than the idea of Elephant Peach, but knowing Nintendo, they'd make Elephant Bowser a reality. The last thing I want to look at today is what the postgame could look like for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Every modern Super Mario game has had some sort of postgame, whether it be more collectibles for you to collect or worlds for you to explore. Because of this, I don't expect it to be any different with this game. Tying back to power-ups quickly, one of the things I think you'd be able to do even before being the main campaign is fully upgrading every power-up. Having upgradable power-ups could incentivize you to replay levels you may have beaten already, which could increase the playtime of the game a good amount. Obviously, another thing could be to go back and collect Wonder Seeds you may have missed. It looks like there will be at least 2 per level, 1 for being the level, and probably another for being the level's Wonder Mode. But I hope there's a few more hidden throughout the game to again encourage replaying the levels you have already completed. Now for actual post-game stuff, I can see it going 2 ways. First, the new Super Mario Bros. Approach. After you beat the main campaign, you will be given access to a 9th world that will house 8 of the hardest levels in the game. To unlock these levels, however, you would have to collect every Wonder Seed, or each of the 3 10 purple coins in each level for every world. If, say, you collect all the required collectibles for World 1, you'll get access to 9-1, which will test your skills and the gimmicks that were displayed in that world. But this level will have more challenging level design. The other way I could see this going is the Super Mario 3D World approach. After beating the game, you'll be given access to brand new worlds, with maybe the first having some new, more challenging levels, and the others having harder remixed versions of levels from the main campaign. There would also be one less world you could unlock after beating these other extra worlds, and to do so, you would have to touch the top of the flagpole in every level and collect every collectible. Once you unlock this world, it could be home to maybe a boss rush and one last hard challenge like Champion's Road, where you have no checkpoints and make your way through one of the hardest Mario levels in history as one last challenge from the game. Out of these 2 ideas, I hope they go with the 3D World approach. Having new levels unlock after the main campaign would encourage you to play the game more after beating the final boss, even if the extra levels are a remixed version of the main game's levels. I just think having a final level that's difficult like Champion's Road would be a nice challenge, and would be a satisfying way to finish 100%ing the game. And that sums up my predictions for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. What do you think? Do you wish Nintendo instead made new Super Mario Bros. Switch, or hate me for not including the poison mushroom as a power-up, let me know down in the comments. I am super excited for this game to release on October 20th, as I have been waiting for a brand new 2D Mario game for years. This will be such a treat to play as the first game after I become an adult, and I look forward to hopefully making more content on the game up to release. If there's anything you think I missed or you want to see in the game, please let me know down in the comments, as maybe I'll make a video looking at what you guys want to see come to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I want to thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, and if you're still here, obviously you enjoyed the video. If you haven't yet, consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel, as it helps out a lot. If you want to see another video made by me, I have another video on screen now where another content creator and I talk about how Nintendo Land could come to the Nintendo Switch, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that one as well. Now with that being said, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Chris Tendo, signing off, and I hope you have an amazing day.